The impossible, whatever remains, however improbable, must be true.
And it is not a question of a little occultism or a touch of mysticism, Mr. Denton. It is vampires. There's a host of damned souls at Telepaths.
I am thy father's spirit, doomed for a certain term to walk the night.
Here, the old gods aren't dead.
And what of the true god?
He's dead. Can't complain.
People assume that time is a strict progression of cause to effect, but actually, from a non-linear, non-subjective viewpoint, it's more like a big ball of wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey stuff.
You're listening to Paranormal UK Radio.
Welcome to Paranormal UK Radio, the flagship show of the Paranormal UK Radio Network. I'm your host, Irene Allen Block, and with me again tonight is my co-host, Mark Johnson.
Hey, she got it. So proud.
Yay.
Thundering applause from the stands.
There you go.
Bravo, bravo.
I know.
So another week, another show.
Oh.
How are you doing, by the way?
Wow. Another week, another nightmare. I lost my dog last night in the middle of the Welsh countryside.
Oh,
but
no.
I found her again this morning at 8 o'clock. So everything ended happily ever after. But she's a little bit traumatized. She was very, very wet. It rained all night. She didn't seem to go to cover anywhere. So she was drenched through to the bone. She was shivering. She was dirty. Her feet were sore. And she was not a happy bunny when I found her. But she slept nearly all day today.
She had an adventure.
Yeah. But one thing I'd like to say is the support on Facebook has been absolutely marvellous. You know, I put it out on Facebook that I'd lost her, and within no time it was going everywhere through all the Welsh rescue sites for dogs, all these sites where they look for lost dogs and everything, and people were just sharing it all over the place. And I want to say thank you to people for that, because I just didn't expect that outcome. I really didn't. You know, I just put it on there to my friends. The next minute, it's going across Facebook, all across Wales, that she's missing. And, you know, people are looking out for her.
You know, you'll find when there's an animal or children involved, people really step up.
Yeah, yeah. You know, I always said that this village I live in was snooty, anti-English. And but there were people last night out in their cars driving around the village looking for her.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. Not my next door neighbour, of course, but never mind. Anyway, she's back. She's back. She's safe.
She certainly wasn't hiding behind his wall, because he hasn't built the bloody thing yet.
No, that's true. That's true. So true. And also, I'd like to also tell you I am still not smoking. And Holly, I believe Holly is in Canada. She's given up because I have given up, so she's going to give up, and that is fantastic. Keep it up, Holly.
Keep that in mind. You can't let Holly down.
No.
But I know how tempting it is. You were smoking for how many years?
Oh, I started behind the girls' toilets at school when I was at about 11 years old.
Oh, my God.
And I'm now 30-something.
37?
No, I'm 67 years old. So I've been smoking that long. And, yeah, I'm an old granny, really. But when you think about it...
Well, now when your grandkids come over, they won't have to worry about their granny smelling like cigarette smoke.
No, they won't. They won't.
Nope.
At least the house didn't, because, you know, whenever the children were there, everybody was made to... You sound like you've been smoking, Mark. Everybody was made to smoke outside, you know, in the garden. Nobody smoked in front of grandchildren. It's always been a thing in the family. You never smoke in front of babies or grandchildren. But I must have smelled like an old ashtray at times. I've got to admit, it must have got on my clothes.
I'm sure it did. I remember my dad used to smoke when I was a kid, and we'd always smell it. And then when he finally stopped, it was you definitely notice the difference.
Yeah, well, somebody nicknamed me Fag Ash Lil once.
Okay.
You don't know what Fag Ash Lil is, do you? Never mind.
No. I know the fag part, and it has a different connotation over here in the U.S.
Well, a fag is always in your mouth, isn't it? So
that's over here too, but in a different way. Anyway, I'm going to get myself in trouble here.
Yeah, you are. You can explain that one to me later because I'm innocent.
Yes. When you think of that word over here, you think of New York City, Greenwich Village, or San Francisco, or West Hollywood. Certain locations where people live. Anyway, before we get on with our show tonight, we'll have a couple of announcements. Again, two things we've got going here. First and foremost, as we
I've been so busy, Mark. What have we got going? I've forgotten.
Oh, well, we are looking for your stories, people. All you listeners out there who are listening, if you have ever had an encounter in your life with something strange or unusual,
or
paranormal, have you seen a ghost? Have you seen a UFO or even a cryptid, strange creature? Have you had some kind of encounter with something high strangeness and you don't even know what happened? We're looking for stories because we're going to be putting together a compilation book of all of your stories. And once we get enough stories together, we will be releasing a book on it. And there will be several entries, of course, in there of our own experiences. Because, Irene, you've had quite a few in your life. I've had several. And so we're going to intertwine our own stories with other people's submissions. So if you go out to the radio show website at paranormalukradionetwork.com, or for shorter, you can also go to paukradio.com and click on the link in the menu that says Collecting Stories, Strange Encounters. You can fill out the form. You can choose to be anonymous if you want. And let us know what happened to you, and try to give as much detail as you can, because the more detail you provide, the better the story will be.
Yeah, and if you do leave your name and your email address, we can get back in touch with you and we can talk about the actual story with you so that we can get it clear and we write it up the way it actually happened for you, okay?
And then I also wanted to mention again our organization that we have brought back to life and we are working with right now, Spirit Rescue International. And for anyone anywhere around the world, if you're having trouble with or issues with paranormal issues, whether it's a ghost or other type of haunting or something strange that you need help with, you can go to spiritrescueint.com. That's spiritrescueint for international.com. And you can submit the request form for help, and we can our team of experts and psychic mediums can help work remotely with anybody around the world. So, and there is no charge at all for us to help clients.
No charge, and it was one of the most successful organizations that there ever was.
Yes, and we're very proud to bring it back and continue on with the tradition of helping people.
That's right. So that's that one.
That's that
any
one.
More?
No, that's all of them I have for now. Do you have any?
No. Anything happened to you this week?
Well, we got hit with 2 nor'easters, and on the other day we got I would say about 15 inches of snow fell. 15 to 18 inches.
That's nothing compared with Wales. 8-foot snow drifts. Not in my area, but in other
I was going to say, in your area,
Wales,
you never get any snow.
I got a sprinkle. I got a sprinkle. So, you've been really snowed in then, Mark, have you?
Yep, we're getting another one tonight. We're going to get about another 2 to 4 inches. Not too bad. Yeah, I just can't wait for spring. Spring we usually get our worst snowstorms. It's that heavy, wet snow.
It must be difficult for you because you're up on the mountaintop, aren't you?
Well,
You're up on the top of a mountain, practically.
whatever constitutes mountains for New Jersey, I mean, basically, it's more like a hill. We're only at 850 feet up.
It's a mound.
Not quite a mountain. But this is where we have the local ski resorts and up in the forest. So, yeah, we're the higher elevations here. So if there's ever significant snow, we're the ones who usually get hit with it.
Yeah. Well, I know where you live is absolutely beautiful with the woods behind you and everything. So
yeah, I'm still keeping an eye out for the bears to start waking up. They should be coming around soon.
Yeah, they come out in spring, don't they, with their babies?
Yep. A couple years ago, we had a mama with 5 cubs.
I know. That's a hell of a lot of babies.
Yeah, well, you should have seen the size of the mama. Whoa, she was huge.
She was a big bear.
Very big. Kind of reminded me of Rosie O'Donnell at the the all-you-can-eat buffet. Was that mean? Yeah, that was mean. And I relish it. Anyway, so
all right.
Let's get into the show tonight. Who are we talking to tonight?
We're talking to Andy and Chloe from Phantoms Paranormal.
Andy and Chloe, do they have last names?
We just like to be called Andy and Chloe Phantoms.
I just thought, it was, Irene keeps forgetting my name, so I can't expect her to remember the guest's name either.
I did forget the name. Sorry. I am so sorry. But I think Andy and Chloe Phantoms is very, very good. Mark's got some weird last names as well. Crap face, twat, twit, whatever I fancy calling him at the time. Okay.
Well, Andy and Chloe, welcome to the program. And and again, what's the name of your organization again?
It's Phantoms Paranormal.
Phantoms Paranormal. And how long has your organization been investigating now?
Well, we are relatively new. We've only been as a team for 5 months.
Oh, really? That is a fairly short time. Okay.
Yeah.
But how long have you been investigating the paranormal, though?
Me personally, I've been investigating professionally for around 2 years.
2 years.
Yeah, but there's a lifelong sort of experience, from early childhood.
Ooh, we love those stories.
Yeah. But Chloe's relatively new, aren't you, Chloe?
Yeah, I've only been doing it, since we got with Phantoms, really. I've only been doing it about 5 months.
But, Chloe, have you had personal experiences in your life?
Oh, yeah, I've had quite a few in the past. It's all started, really, when I was younger. Like about 2.
Well, let me ask you a question then. When it was younger, how old were you when you think you had your first experience?
My first experience, I must have been about 2, 3. It was just after my granddad passed away. Mm-hmm. And I kept seeing him, round the house. I'd talk to him. It used to drive my mum and dad insane because I'd just sit there and talk to him on a night, like he were actually sat there. And I could actually fully see him and hear him, and no one else could. And it's really stemmed from there, really. I've had an interest in it my whole life.
So when you would see him and talk with him, well, it's not surprising because children usually at that age are so much more wide open to this type of phenomenon that by the time we become adults, we've had it beaten out of us pretty much. Or family, I remember having some experiences. I'd hear something, or I'd dream, or I'd see something, and my mother goes, "Oh, it's your imagination," or "You dreamed it." And you tell that to kids often enough, then they start to think that way.
Yeah, my mum's always been interested in it, so I think that's kind of where it stemmed from, really.
Well, that's good. At least your mother was supportive with it, where mine was not.
Mine wasn't. Mine was. The golden words from my mother all my life were, if anyone's going to see a ghost, Irene, it's going to be me. I was born in a haunted house. I lived with that all my life.
Oh, dear.
Yeah. So... This is parents for you. Some are supportive, some... Well, they think they're doing right, actually, Mark. A lot of parents think that they're doing right by telling children that, you know, it's their imagination because they're worried about them.
They are. But at the same time, they also, you know, they're also grown up and conditioned with the beliefs. It's just an ever expanding cycle of people when they get in with, you know, whether religious beliefs tell you not to believe certain things or whether just society in general. I mean, we live in a very skeptical society these days now.
Yeah, we do.
Now, you know, paranormal shows, you know, the television shows in the last 15 years have really made a lot of inroads to make the paranormal a bit more mainstream. But it's still got a lot of issues going on with it. And, you know, as we've said about some of these television shows. So,
yeah,
you know, it's still like people are still being enlightened by what they're experiencing. And, of course,
brainwashed.
And science still won't have anything to do with it.
No.
Mainstream science anyway. So, Andy, what's the earliest encounter that you can remember?
I was roughly same age as Chloe, 2 or 3, and we had this old house where I kept seeing this little white dog, and it used to come from under the TV cabinet and run across the floor, and I used to be like, "Dog," and the one out there, you know. And my mum, like, she went through a dog book and she was like, "Show me what you're seeing," and it was this little white poodle, and when we moved out of that house, she found out that the old guy that lived there, he had 2 white poodles and they both died in the house.
Now, that's interesting. And do you feel that animals could have spirits too, or could be left behind as a ghost?
Yes, definitely. I've had quite a fair few experiences with animal spirit. What about you, Chloe?
I've had a fair few, to be fair. I mean, the dog that I had when I was younger, it sounds a bit daft, but whenever I'm laid in bed at night, the duvet, like, dips. And I'll just say, "Oh, you're back again, Jess." And obviously she'll just sit there and then the duvet will just move back. So it's like she just, like, layers down where she used to lay, and then she'll move again. So I do believe that, yeah.
I've had it. I've had a few experiences as well with Willow, believe it or not. Mark, same sort of thing where she's been laying on the, well, I felt her get on the bed. You know, I felt her walk up to me, you know, when you lay there with your arms hanging out the bed?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, walk up and nuzzle my hand.
I've never had that experience myself.
And there used to be, do you know, when I first moved in here, you'd come in from the dining room, open the kitchen door from the dining room, and a cat would shoot across the floor and straight through the wall. And so I checked, and apparently there was a cat living here that got killed out on the road out the front. So maybe.
We had a fairly strange experience. I'll just quickly tell you about it. We rescued a rabbit that had been hit by a car. And we fetched it home, and long story short, it died really quickly as we got him home. And I sat down. We wrapped him up in a blanket top floor. I sat down, rolling a cigarette. And literally 10 seconds later, we got a standing fan and a box and a bag in front of it. And the box shifted slightly, the bag crinkled, and the standing fan all moved in circuit like something had moved past. So I definitely believe that what rabbit moving across the floor.
Yeah?
Yeah. And I was absolutely blown away, and my girlfriend witnessed that as well.
Wow. Do you know, I love your accent.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. It reminds me of some of them on television, on some of the soaps.
Yeah.
Sorry about that, Mark.
That's quite all right.
Okay. All right. So, what about elementals that are in the shape of animals? What do you think of that?
Oh, yeah, interesting.
Because a lot of elemental stuff that you see moving around and one thing or another, does bear resemblance to a cat or a small dog.
Yes.
And normally it's seen out the corner of your eye, this black thing shooting across the floor.
Yeah, I have researched that quite a lot. But well, I mean, some things can project with red as well as animals, you know, especially elemental field. So
this is what makes your group different, isn't it? You study, you go out there looking for elementals.
And nature spirits, yeah.
And nature spirits.
Yeah.
This is what's different about this paranormal investigation group, Mark.
Now you've got my attention.
Now I've got your attention. Okay,
well, you had it before, but now I'm
going to eat a gooseberry.
Now I'm even more intrigued. What made you want to focus on elemental types of entities?
To be fair, it was really unplanned. We met, well, whatever he was, a little, we'll call him a child ghost to start with. We met one on Halloween, just previous. And when he convinced us to take him home with him. It's a really wild story, but we did.
Oh, you're going to have to go into details on that one. How did you meet him, and how did he convince you to take him home with you?
Yeah, well, basically, he portrayed himself as a really innocent sort of child that were lost. You know, doing the spirit boxes and the questions and answers on K2 and REM pod. He was affecting everything he could just to get his attention.
And where were you? Sorry, Andy. Where were you investigating Where were you investigating at the time?
It's a place called Wentworth Woodhouse. It's like a big stately manor house that's got a load of gardens, but it's got like a college and a student accommodation on it, and one of the abandoned student accommodation.
So you were in the student accommodation at this manor house. And this is where you found the elemental.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And just to get things straight here, the elemental portrayed itself as a child.
As a child, yeah.
Showed itself as a child. And at that particular time, you didn't click that it wasn't anything but a child?
Well, yeah. Obviously, you've got suspicions, like, because a lot of people say, well, it could be a demon, you know, or something like that. It could be something negative, like in disguise. But he wasn't showing any signs. So, but as ex-team member Claudia, she actually like cared for this being. You know, instantly. There were an instant bond. And we left him there the first night, but we went back again the second night because we were like, so. You know, what the hell happened? You know, we had to find out. So when we went back, Claudia said, "Look, you can come and live with me." Like, but he had.
Oh, not a good thing. Not a good thing, and you should never bond with anything like this.
But, he had a lot more plans, and he did fib and lie a little bit to get us to the point we're at now. So
she encouraged this elemental, or this child, as it was at the time, to go back. And it was only when it went back with her to her house that it was discovered that it wasn't a child, that it was actually an elemental.
Yeah. I mean, because it actually picked me and Becky, and he come straight with us. He didn't even bother staying with Claudia, but. He sort of started showing us scenarios. Like, he was saying, oh, I'm this. But then he'd say, I'm this. And then he'd say, oh, I'm your spirit guide. You know, and then through his behaviour patterns, we worked out what he was. And then he started admitting it, and now he just works alongside us. It's an amazing tale, but yeah.
Okay. Well, and what sort of elemental is... Sorry, Mark. What sort of elemental is this?
From his behaviour patterns, he is half fairy and half elf. And he has admitted to being an halfling of both.
Okay, carry on, Mark.
Well, my question to you is going to be, he lied to you in the beginning. How can you trust what he has to say now?
That'll be because of all the sort of help he's given us in how to communicate with all the different types. He's learnt us some really bizarre things that we have to do. Certain rituals, it's not nothing bad. It's just like, it's basically wishing, and performing like a wish, and then he's learnt us like certain frequencies to communicate with certain elementals and nature spirits, and and how to behave around them, and it's worked so far. Whatever he has told us has been 100% truth.
And how long have you been working with him now?
A solid 5 months.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in that time, and he's working with you, have you ever tried to research him more? And I'm saying him with air quotes because, First of all, do you know it's a him? Second of all, have you tried to glean any more information about not only what he is, but, what does that entail? Personal information regarding him or his culture or anything else that you could find out about him?
Well, basically, because he fetched another member of his family to see us. The other one, obviously, they've got false names. They weren't as yet to give us their true names because apparently in the fairy law that if you get a fairy's name, it's the ultimate gesture from them. And we are quite new. We're working with him. We've got to earn his trust as well. Mm-hmm. But he has fetched another one, and he leaves the other one here while he goes back to where he comes from, because he does take regular breaks. He can come on, calling. He will come. But, yeah, so at minute, he's more keen to see if we can sort of bond with others before he gives us any sort of personal information.
Well, it's building of trust, and that definitely goes both ways.
I mean, it tests us all the time. Quiet little tests. They are regular.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you test him?
I have tried.
Well, tried.
I've tried.
That does not sound like it's much in the way of success.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, we've done as many different sort of scientific paranormal experiments as we can with him, and he was really camera shy at the start, but he will, if I ask him nicely, he will show on camera.
Mm-hmm.
Now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Can I ask Chloe something?
Yeah.
Chloe, have you actually seen this creature with your own eyes?
I believe I have.
You think? So,
I believe I have. Yeah, he appears as like a ball of light, like a really bright ball of light.
Yeah.
And me, Andy, and Becky have all seen him as this big ball of light.
Okay.
That's what we believe he is.
Right. And I'm still trying to get my head around this. What he does is he goes out on investigations with you and helps you with his investigations, yeah?
Yeah, and he helps us along everything. So, like, he's learnt us a lot about the elementals and everything. He's learnt us quite a lot. Like, at the start, obviously, we didn't know much about them. Obviously, it's him that's helped us and guided us into the right direction, so we know exactly what we're looking for now when we go out on investigations.
Okay, and how many different types of elementals have you learnt about?
Learnt about? Well, obviously, with the elementals, there's obviously air, fire, water, and earth. And then obviously there's your nature spirits, which is obviously like your fairies, your elves, your leprechauns, and pixies. And obviously they're the ones that I've mainly learnt about. But obviously Andy knows a little bit more about them than what I do. Okay, yeah. Mark?
Well, then let me ask this, and this is something I'm very interested in because to understand some of the dynamics of these other types of entities. I've worked on some cases that I firmly believe we were dealing more with an elemental type of entity and activity on the property. These things, would you call them spirits? Would you call them mortal or physical? Or do they have other types of attributes? You say you see him as a ball of light. Have you ever seen him as a physical being?
I've seen him twice as like a full body manifestation. That's closest to how I could put it. One was like a shadow of him, and well, that's actually twice. That's both times how he's come through. But to be fair, he tells us like he is actually still alive. But
Yeah.
it is hard to understand, isn't it? Because like
he's living in his own world, isn't he?
Yeah, we call it like residing on their own frequency.
Yeah.
You know, it's slightly different to ours.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I've got to tell you a story now, right? When my son, my eldest son, was 2 years old, he kept getting up out of his bed at night and coming into our room, wanting to get into bed with us. And we thought what he was saying was just a ploy just to get in bed with us. What he kept saying was that every night this little green man would come through the wall, go through his bed and stand beside his bed and wanted him to get out of the bed. Every night this was happening, and he described this little tiny 2 foot, or if that, green man. Now my son is 30 some odd years old now. I don't know. Sorry, Jamie, darling, I can't remember your bloody age, let alone your birthday or anything. Still, terrible mother.
You're going to get Mother of the Year award now.
Yeah, and he still remembers this little green man, and he still says it's true. He saw this little green man night after night.
Did he?
And of course, we would frog march him back into the bedroom. We'd frog march him back in the bedroom, tell him to get into bed and stop being so silly, because we thought he was just trying to get into bed with us and be, like babies do. He was 2 years old, and we didn't want him getting into that habit. But even now, he says in his 30s, and he swears blind, that he did see this little man every night, and he was green.
I mean, it sounds really cliche, but apparently the green energies are leprechauns.
Yeah.
That's where it all stems from. But
leprechauns doing in the middle of Surrey, London, I don't know.
Well, apparently nature spirits do migrate. They do travel the world, apparently.
Well, there is Irish in the family, because I come from the Donnelly family, the Donnelly part of from Ireland. My great grandfather was a Donnelly, and he came over from Ireland to Scotland. So there is that Irish element.
So it could be a nature spirit that's attached to family then, to some degree.
Yeah, it could be. It could be, but as he got older, obviously, I don't think he stopped seeing it.
Yeah.
It went on for a good 6 months. This getting out of bed every night because the little green man was, coming into the room.
It's very interesting, that.
Well, now to ask you, Irene, he sees a little green man. Was he dressed in any particular way?
And, I've never ever asked him, because you expect a little green leprechaun to be dressed like a little leprechaun, with the beard and the red hair and the green clothes and things like that. But is that all to do with film? I don't know. I honestly don't know, Mark. I never asked him. All I know was that he called him the green man, little green man, and that was it. See, at that time, I never took it serious.
See, and that's where my analytical side comes in, because I want to know as much information as possible.
I'll find out, and I'll let you know.
Okay. Do they wear clothes? Okay. If they do, what type of clothes?
He must have worn something. Otherwise, knowing Jamie, would have said that he saw his little friend.
It's like the whale movie, Free Willy?
Yeah. Yeah. Because you know what kids are like. They're 2 years old. They don't care, do they? I saw his bum, mum. That sort of thing. No, he must have been wearing something. And it, like I said, he just kept calling him the little green man. The little green man keeps coming in. Mum, can I come in bed with you? Because the little green man is in my bedroom. And we'd go into his bedroom and there would be nothing there. We wouldn't see anything. But he swore blind. He came through the wall.
That's brilliant.
Yeah. I will find out more about it now. You know, now he's older. I'll see what he can remember.
I'd love to know as well. Yeah.
Now, in your Andy, with your experience in dealing with this being, how can I put this? It's known that a lot of these types of beings have almost a trickster quality to them. And as you said, he presented himself as a human child to get in your trust. And then even now, he's not presenting certain information to you. Do you feel like he plays with you sometimes?
Yes.
Or kind of messes with you a bit?
Yeah, a little bit. But what we have found, he does it in a way where it does work out for the greater good. He'll do it to learn us something. You know,
he does it in a way to teach you.
Yes, they're the little tests that we mentioned earlier.
That's interesting, because you know, in many cultures around the world, there is the trickster element, trickster spirits they mention, and you can find them anywhere. I mean, in Norse mythology, there's Loki, who was the trickster. In Native American, especially in the southwestern tribes, the coyote is the trickster, or Iktomi, the spider. Now, these beings are never looked at as being evil. Usually, good and evil really comes more from the Christianity and the major religion side of it, the Western religion side. But in more of the Aboriginal cultures, they're looked at as teaching tools.
Right.
Teaching tools. They may play a trick. In fact, sometimes the tricks could turn deadly. I've heard of fairy stories of, things turning deadly, or people, there's stories about children being abducted and replaced by replicants.
Yes, yeah.
What is your thoughts on those?
It's very possible. You see, I believe from what I've seen of him, is a perfect balance of, good and evil. I mean, when we were first researching, when he admitted to what he was, we were like, right, so if we offend him, things could turn really nasty. And I did put that to test, and I kind of wanted help on a certain investigation, and he wouldn't interfere. So I proceeded to swear at him a lot and shout at him, and told him that if he didn't move something for camera that night, I were having nothing to do with him ever again. And he left for 2 solid weeks, and he refused to come and talk to us. So he were trying to learn me don't do that again, But he forgave me, which I'm quite lucky. So, yeah, I don't know. I think. Well, I don't know. Like I say, it's all a learning curve for me. We've got much more to learn from him.
When we first started this show, one of our first guests was Barry Fitzgerald from
Ghost Hunters International.
Yeah, Ghost Hunters International. And Barry was talking about his investigations with the Fae and everything.
Yeah.
Which was really interesting. I'll have to get that show out and send it to you so you can listen to it.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, with these types of spirits, when you say he left you for 2 weeks, how do you know he comes back? And in fact, how do you regularly communicate with him, or at least how does he let you know that he's around?
Right. So basically, we've got a really nice balance between a Kinect camera. It will come when asked immediately on that, and it'll travel the room on it, which is very rare that you'll see a Kinect SLS stick figure do that. And also a REM pod. He absolutely adores them, and he will answer questions direct.
Like yes or no questions with the REM pod?
And he'll go quiet and wait. He'll wait for you to ask. He'll answer yeah. Also, we use a SB7 spirit box, and he's very keen on that. The replies are absolutely phenomenal.
Have you recorded any of those sessions with the SB
Yes, we have.
spirit
We have
box?
got a lot of focus sessions on our YouTube channel, just specifically. We call him Tommy. That was a name he gave us on the second meeting with him, and that's what we've stuck with.
For now, until he decides to trust you with his real name.
Yeah.
Do you think that they think there's power in a name?
I don't know. I've not really looked into that.
If they're unwilling to give you the name until a certain amount of trust comes up, it's almost like they're sharing something very important with you. Maybe a name has power, like Rumpelstiltskin.
Yeah. It could be.
Now, when you have him, when he shows up and he's helped you on these cases, has he helped you work with other elemental type cases?
Yes. He'll go and talk to whatever we go and investigate. He'll go and talk to them first, and he'll try and convince them to show themselves for what they actually are to us. So, for example, if we were investigating an abandoned hospital, for example, he says a lot of these elementals and nature spirits will project as, a dead patient or whatever, just to communicate, because they're lonely, because human race has turned their back on them, apparently. This is what he says. So he tries to get them to actually come forward and immediately tell us what they are. And that's what he wants us to do, is to be able to immediately bond with them without any shroud.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Well, I've got a question for Chloe in a minute, but first of all, I want to ask you, do you believe that every house and every garden has an elemental spirit?
I couldn't say every, but I would say there's quite a large percentage.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So there's a chance you could be walking through the woods, and every few yards you're stepping on somebody's territory.
Or you're being watched, Mark.
Yeah, quite possible. We always hear stories of people being followed through woods and footsteps, and it could quite possibly be them,
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about the idea that many of them live in, I know Ireland had some, and there may be others around the country, like these fairy raths or circles or even caves underground?
Yeah, well, to be very fair, we live at back of a local park that's absolutely massive, and there is some woodland area around it. And we did see a fresh circle pop up in a barren woodland not 2 weeks ago. And we were like, whoa, we need to go in and have a look at this, But I felt drawn to that portion of woods just before this circle popped up.
And when you say a circle pops up, is it like the vegetation tramped down? Is it rocks in a circle? What do you mean by circle?
There's both. There's a circle of rocks, and then there's a circle or a particular flower that's just on its own. It doesn't even spread to any other area. It's just perfectly on its own. How
big do these circles usually run?
I wouldn't know. I think it varies. I think it varies.
What have you encountered?
So far, just that one. Like I say, we're going through winter at the minute, and we're being new to this. We haven't been able to get out into nature as such just yet.
Sure.
We sort of do the abandoned buildings, which apparently they're known to move into. So that's what we kind of have been working on at the minute.
But what the reason I'm kind of sticking with the One Ring you saw, yeah. I have a reason for asking that because something just popped into my head while we were having this conversation. The ring itself, about how many feet across was it? Would you say?
I would say about 6 feet.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Interesting. And I'll save this story a little bit for a little bit later as we talk more about it. But Irene,
I know what you're going to say.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm very
I know where you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay. Let me just go ahead and jump right into it for now. I'll tell you about the case we were working on, and I've mentioned this case on this program many times before. But here in New Jersey, we had a case that we worked on for several years involving a small historic town here in the northern part of New Jersey. And there were two families living on the same street having all sorts of paranormal issues and trouble. We went in, and back at that moment in time, I was part of, just like all the other paranormal groups out there, I just think that, oh yeah, we're dealing with ghosts and maybe somebody who died and whatnot.
Yeah.
And we investigated for a number of time, and it was over time our opinions slowly started to change, and we realized not only are we dealing with is attached to the land, not the houses in general, but they also probably were not human. And we had several things happen to our clients over the years that really started to drive home the fact that we were dealing possibly with an elemental type of spirit. They would see shadow figures in the woods. There was a form of oppression. There were times when it was playful. Sometimes it almost seemed a little malevolent. No super harm done, but definitely a trickster quality to it.
Yeah.
But what really is striking me about what you were just saying, it just hit home to me, is that in one of these properties, and like I said, they're right across the street from each other in this one corner of this town. The people were telling us when they built the house, back in the 1920s, they supposedly found human remains. And it was reported, and it turns out they could have been old Indian burials, and the museum came and took them and whatnot. And so we, through a television program that shall remain nameless because they came in and were crap and faked some things. Paranormal State. Anyway, the one thing they brought in was a ground penetrating radar team, and they scanned the whole backyard back in the area where they said these burials were. And they did find in the radar 5 areas of interest that they flat out said, yeah, those look like burials. So there may be people still buried there. But the really fascinating thing, they found this giant ring buried underground.
Okay.
It's down about 3 feet. It's a perfect circle. It's about 15, 20 feet across. And what's really unique about this circle is it seems to have a point at one end pointing north. And then like a tail, like there's an arrow going through it. And for most of this time, we thought perhaps this was some type of Native American, because, there was a heavy Lenape Indian Native American presence in this area going back for hundreds of years, if not thousands. And we thought it was a native influence. But now that we're sitting here and talking about these rings and the fact that the fairy rings being associated with these elemental creatures, this was a huge ring buried in this property, and the activity was mostly elemental in nature.
Right.
I'm starting to rethink the case now.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
And, I witnessed my client go through personality changes in that house. And one of the more intriguing ones was she called me up one morning and she was saying, she was hysterical. And she was saying, Mark, you're not going to believe me. I saw something in my bedroom last night. You're not going to believe what it was. And I go, what? And she goes, and she didn't want to tell me because she thought I was going to think she was crazy. And I had to tell her, I'm not going to think you're crazy. Tell me what you saw. She finally said that she had woken up in the middle of the night and she saw like a white misty figure standing by her dresser. And then at when she must have made a noise or something, and the thing turned around and looked at her, and she goes, "Mark, that looked like an alien."
All right.
Yeah, like a taller, big-eyed gray alien, and yet we're finding in a lot of cases that these types of so-called aliens are also have a lot to do with elemental types of activity, as well as there's all the stories of UFO reports of these things coming from underground or underground bases.
Yeah.
And who's to say that maybe they're not extraterrestrial? Maybe they are terrestrial. Maybe they're from here. And maybe some of these things have some higher technology, some don't. But so you see what I'm going with that particular case.
Yeah.
With the ring, the burials, and when we were at the case, we asked permission of the client to dig them in the backyard, and she wouldn't do it. She was too afraid. So we never did get to dig down there and see what's there. So still there.
Wow.
That's an intriguing case.
Yeah, it's amazing, that.
Oh, that gives you food for thought.
It does.
Okay. Right. What I wanted to. I'll tell you what. That is some case that Mark worked on there. It really is some case. What I wanted to do was ask Chloe. I see on YouTube that you got something Cat and Mouse Revisit Spirit Investigation at your house. Chloe, is that right?
That's you right, yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to tell us what's going on there?
Oh gosh, well, there's always been like little bits of activity at my house, and obviously when I got with Andy and Becky in the group, I was like, oh yeah, let's go to my house and let's see what's there.
What sort of activity was it?
Well, my little sister, I mean, she's 7, bless her. She kept going to Mum, going, Mum, I can see a lady. I'm like, she was like, what? What do you mean? She was like, I can see a lady standing on the steps.
Yeah.
And then, like, obviously, of course, you've seen we've got a cat. And the cat used to go absolutely insane. Absolutely insane, chasing after something in the middle of the night. And it was absolutely driving us insane. And obviously, we'd find stuff being slightly moved and everything. So when we went, obviously, we'd had this set up. And have you seen the video where the ball goes down the stairs?
Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, we were all just sat in the living room, and obviously that went down, and then just after that, we've gone into the kitchen.
Well, it was like a ball bouncing down the stairs.
Yeah. And then we go into the kitchen. We thought it was the cat initially, and the cat is literally sat on the kitchen side, staring at the stairs.
Yeah.
Like there's something there on the stairs, and she wouldn't move. Like, if you normally go near the cat, she'll move. But she did not move. She stood and stared. But, like, since we went and did an investigation, we've seen a lot more things. Like, the other day, no word of a lie, we're all just sat in the living room talking, and this light starts flickering. I was like, oh, gosh, here we go. So, right, knock it off now. Light goes off. Light bulb comes out of the light. I was like, oh, okay. So we're all just looking at this light bulb on the floor, like, how has that just come out?
But it actually fell out of the socket.
The light
bulb
flew out of the socket. Yeah, like it came out, like onto the floor. And no one was anywhere near it. And we're what?
Did it break?
No, it didn't break. But once we looked inside it, we were all burnt out and everything. And it was like a fresh bulb. We've not had it in long. It burnt out, fallen out.
Yeah.
Never had any problems with it before. And then obviously there's a dream catch remote in the living room. And with the doors shut and everything on the night, it was on his latest invest. I noticed it. I was sat and Andy was like, what are you doing? I was like, that dream catcher's moving. Like, all the doors were shut. There was no draft. And I was like, no, seriously, the dream catcher's moving. And it wasn't just like swaying. It was like lifting up. Like someone was like sat playing with it. Like moving it.
So it was moving rather erratic. It wasn't just...
Yeah.
Like in the
breeze.
It
weren't like it were a breeze. No. It definitely wasn't the breeze because it was like lifting up.
Yeah.
And it was all going in different directions.
Oh.
And I was like, Andy, are you seeing this? They were like, yeah, that's amazing. Because it was just like moving on its own. But it was the first time that, well, it weren't the first time, my mum's seen it before, but she just initially thought it was draft at door. Yeah. Obviously, when doors were shut, no windows were open or anything, just started moving on its own. And obviously, having a closer look, it weren't just moving. It were like being lifted.
Yeah.
And then obviously we've got photos everywhere. And we keep seeing them, the photos just seem to just fall on their own.
Fall over?
Yeah, just fall over and come off the wall.
Other than all this, has your mother personally had any experiences in the house?
Don't know in our house that we're in now, but I know she has in previous houses.
Oh, I see.
I know she has in previous ones. I mean, the one that I was on about earlier with my granddad, when I used to see him, I know she had a lot in there. She used to be able to see stuff around the house, like little balls of light around the house. And like hear whispering and stuff. She used to be able to hear stuff. So and Mum's really in touch with that. Like she loves all his videos. She's really into paranormal.
You got to get out listening to the show. Chloe's mum, you have to listen to the show regular. Right, Chloe. So this house that you're in now, where this activity has just been going on recently, have you any idea what it is? Do you think it's elemental? Do you think it's some sort of spirit? What do you think it is?
Hello?
Chloe? Chloe? Chloe?
I can hear her. She's trying to speak, but I don't know if we've lost her.
I'm hearing slapping or banging in the background.
Chloe?
Yeah, she's trying to speak. I can hear her upstairs, but...
I'll tell you what, we'll take a break here now while you go and see what's going on.
Yeah, no problem.
And come back, all right? And I'll check on my dogs.
Yeah, no problems.
Okay.
Okay, I'm recording this bit. This is what is strange. We were hearing, Irene was trying to ask you questions, and all of a sudden you were gone, and then we were hearing this loud bam, 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 rhythmic, but it sounded like stomping around, like somebody was stomping around the room. Now, Andy said he could kind of hear you, but I couldn't hear anything on my end except the stomping, and it kept going and it kept going, and finally I had an idea and I said, Tommy, is that you? And it stopped and you came back.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
He's playing with me again. He does this.
What's that?
No, I was trying to talk and I was like, hello.
Yeah.
I didn't know why it wasn't working.
It wasn't working, and there was just this stomping and banging. Now, just to let our listeners know,
that gives a new look on Tommy Knocker.
Exactly. Well, just to let our listeners know, because I had shut off the recording, and so we could figure out what was going on, and then Irene said to turn it back on. So, yeah, Chloe disappeared for a little while, and instead we got this strange stomping and banging coming from her end. She was trying to talk. Now, you didn't touch anything, right, Chloe? You just...
I didn't touch anything.
Yeah.
I'm still sat in the same place. The phone hasn't moved. My headset hasn't moved. Anything. I haven't moved.
And then, yeah,
so
I got the idea off camera. I mean, as I had the microphone off, I even texted Irene. I said, I wonder if it's Tommy messing around. So I said, Tommy, is that you banging around? And all of a sudden it stopped. And then there were a couple more stomps and boom, you were back.
Yeah.
That is strange.
That is very strange.
Wow. Well, you know what?
But, right, I was only joking a couple of hours ago.
We try to put on a very professional show with interviews and whatnot, but you know what? If this show sounds a little raw to our listeners tonight, it's on purpose, because we think some stuff is kind of going on here. And So we're unpolished,
And
but
we do like it when stuff starts going on with our guests.
yes.
Now, but yeah, I were only joking saying we should put an headset on REMPod because it's a teddy bear that we've got. I said we should have had an account called Tommy Phantoms and Eddie Mon.
Well,
so I wonder if he were listening back then.
Well, you know what you could do is you could turn it on and set it to the side. We can ask questions and see if he comes through.
I'm quite willing to do that.
Yeah. Go ahead. Why don't you do that while we pick back up? Irene, you were trying to ask Chloe a question about.
I've forgotten what it was now.
What was going on in her house?
It was about my house, like what spirits were at my house.
Yeah. Do you think that this could be an elemental that's causing a problem in the house, or a spirit? How old's the house?
Well, the house is 4 years old. It's actually built on top of an old mine.
Tommy Knockers. There you go. That's where they used to hang out, in the mines, Tommy Knockers.
Yeah. It's built on top of the old Brampton pit, as it's called.
Yeah, so maybe he's playing games. Maybe he's... Because you nicknamed him Tommy. It's built on top of the old mine, your house, and he's been knocking about. So he's trying to put it... He's frigging playing with us.
He is. He always does. He likes these games.
Yeah, so do I.
He thinks they're funny.
Yeah. Okay, so...
Mr. Tommy? Is it Tommy or is it Mr. Knocker? Which would it be?
I think I'll go with Tommy for now.
Yes.
And I've got the knockers, so... Sorry, people. Okay. Right, I'm old. I can get away with it. Right, so let's get back to where we were. So now what we're going to do now, Mark, we're doing an experiment, are we, on the actual show?
We're going to try. Now, do you have your REM pod ready?
I do, yeah.
Okay. Turn it on.
Is it in the right spot?
It's in the spot, yeah.
Okay. Good. Is it in a spot that we could hear it go off?
You should be able to.
Can you wave your hand by it to set it off, and so we can hear it?
Can you hear that?
Do it again. Okay, it's faint, but we can hear it.
Yeah.
Okay, Tommy, if you're there, shout, please. Make a big noise.
Well,
just as I said that, Gertie snored behind me.
Yeah, Tommy's gonna have to compete with Gertie snoring. Okay, yeah. So let's put this out there. Okay, this is going to be a quick experiment. Tommy, if you are here and you're listening, that was a good trick. We're very impressed, and we would like to communicate though with you a little bit more. And so let me ask you a question. Was that you making those stomping sounds when Chloe, we couldn't hear Chloe? And if you can make the REM pod go off once for yes, that would be great.
Nothing so far.
No, but there was like
a knock.
There was a knock. I just want to make sure that neither of you are touching your microphones at this time.
No. I'm now top floor.
Okay. Irene, you too. Don't be moving around.
No, I'm muting.
I'm not moving.
Okay.
All right. Everybody mute them.
Well, no, I can't have... No, he can't mute or I won't hear if the thing goes off.
Oh, no, that's right.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Andy, you don't mute. Chloe.
Okay. Well, you know what? I'll be honest with you, Irene. Leave everybody's mics open because he could come in from anywhere.
All right.
Okay, so we'll just ask this again. Tommy, was that you who just made the knocking sound a moment ago? Okay. Is there anybody else here while we're doing this show tonight that is playing tricks or making yourself known to us? Can you knock or set off the bear? Okay. As typical, these things seem to not want to cooperate while we're asking them to. So, we'll ask another. Let me ask one more question, and then if they choose not to respond, we'll just get on with the show and see if they want to show up here in a little bit later on. But I'm addressing Tommy. Would you like to appear as a guest on our show? What was that?
What was that?
Did you hear that?
I heard that.
It was 2, so no. The answer's no. It went twice. Went bleh, bleh.
I heard like.
I didn't get that from my end.
Okay.
And it wasn't Gertie
got it
because I
here.
did mute because Gertie's snoring.
Yeah, I heard that clearly. Okay. Well then, Tommy, I understand you don't really want to be on the show, but are you enjoying working with Andy and Chloe on their cases? There's a bang again.
I heard that bang.
Very much. Okay. And, okay. How do you interview an elemental?
That was me, by the way. I've just banged my head on my mic.
Okay, yes, I heard that. Why don't you ask a question, Irene?
Yeah. What can I ask an elemental? Let me see. Have you got fairy girlfriend? Is there an elemental that's like a little green man? Bang once for yes and twice for no. I feel like I'm almost haunted here. Okay, Tommy. Is there such a thing as an elemental that is green in colour? If there is, bang once for yes and twice for no.
Doesn't seem to want to answer you there.
No.
Maybe he doesn't like me because I asked him if he had a fairy girlfriend.
No. Well, what I would like to know is if other elemental beings like himself, are they mortal?
Mortal or mortal?
Mortal.
All right, go on, ask him.
I just did, and you interrupted.
Can you answer that one, Tommy?
Yes.
Bang.
Okay.
I
Right,
heard
this
that.
is fun.
This is fun. Thank you. And I realized the banging is coming from Chloe's end. It's on your end. Tommy, are you with Chloe right now? Tommy, could you appear anywhere that you choose to appear?
Yes, I believe he's here, there, and everywhere.
Yeah, well, we can be.
Yeah.
We have put him to test with that before, haven't we?
Yeah. And you know, just to put it out there for Tommy that we're not trying to be disrespectful or unfairly test you. We're just trying to get an open dialogue and communication. So we have the utmost respect and don't want to do anything to offend you. So if we ask questions, if you choose not to answer, we respect that. But let me ask you, Tommy, do you have a family?
What was that noise?
That could have been Gertie snoring.
No, that wasn't Gertie snoring.
Gertie's the mascot.
I'm used to Gertie snoring, and that's not it. Although it did come from your end this time, Irene. Interesting.
Very.
Well, I can tell you it was not me.
Okay.
I'm a lady.
There's that bang again. Very interesting. But you know what? Tommy seemed to answer the question earlier. He did not want to be a guest on the show, so probably why he's not answering a lot of questions. And again, like I said, I respect that. But this is intriguing. I'm very fascinated by the idea of being able to communicate with these types of entities and beings. My opinion is, and you mentioned this a little bit earlier, Andy, is that sometimes they seem lonely, like we've chosen to ignore them or not believe in them anymore. I'm wondering what they actually think of humans that they share this earth with. What do they think about us?
In general, yeah, it's a question I've not touched on with him yet, but I don't know, because they do seem to not want to interact all that much unless, like I said, they are projecting as something else, because we've read that a lot, you know. So I don't know. I don't know ultimately what they're thinking of, but I think sort of, you know, like people that are interested in paranormal, I think they keep a keen eye on us all, and it's them that initiate contact if they see someone that's open enough, you know, to communicate with them. And that's kind of gist we got from Tommy.
Well, you know, if you look at it from another point of view, we as a species are inherently violent. We tend to react badly to things that we don't understand. And, you know, it's like people, if they let's talk about aliens, you know, people say, well, why don't the aliens come down and show us that they're here? It's like, every time they do, our governments shoot at them. Okay.
Very true.
We have people out there looking for Bigfoot, and most skeptics say, well, how come's nobody ever gotten a Bigfoot? It's like, well, because you guys want to go and kill one. You want to kill them to prove they exist. And if they're intelligent creatures, they're not going to let that happen.
Yeah.
You know, so they have to, you know, let's face it, if you're a creature in the woods and you come across a human in the woods, half the time, what is that person doing? They're armed. You know, whether they're hunting, and, you know, even sometimes if I'm out in the woods, if I would want to have a sidearm or some type of protection for either bears or mountain lions or things like that, that could hurt you. But I have no evil intent or harmful intent towards anything. Mm-hmm. But a lot of people...
we don't have that here, Mark. We have walking sticks, and but even a walking stick's a weapon to one of these creatures. Yeah.
Oh, dear.
Well, you know, I mean, half the time we're so wasteful, and look at all the species that go extinct because of us, because of mankind killing them all, making them go extinct. You know, the buffalo over here in the United States were decimated by the whites coming around, killing them just to kill them. Train rides, people are riding in trains and they're shooting off the trains, just killing buffalo as they go by because it's fun. They wiped out millions of them to the point where they almost became extinct. So I can see where an intelligent, you know, these types of creatures, if they're at least as intelligent as we are, they may be more intelligent, you know, they would have good reason to stay away from us.
Yeah. Oh, I agree completely with that. Cause, me and Becky, Becky's other team member, she's my girlfriend. Like, but we actually changed our lifestyle through meeting Tommy. We went vegetarian and, well, borderlining vegan. You know, to show respect for Mother Nature and animals. And he kind of liked that. You know, he agreed with it.
So he responded well to the fact that you chose a vegetarian lifestyle.
Yeah.
You know, and I could see that, and for a lot of reasons, you know, I wish I could go more vegetarian. My problem is, unfortunately, I'm too ingrained to meat. I like a good steak once in a while, or chicken or turkey, but you know, it's all living things, and you know, even if you go vegetarian, you're still eating living things, just not as sentient as the rest of us.
Yeah.
So
this is it. I'm vegetarian. I eat fish. I eat shellfish. So it is still living things. It's not actually vegetarian. I think it's something beginning with P. pescatarian or something.
Well, what's your thing? You won't eat anything that has a face.
No. And if they bring a fish out to me in a restaurant and it's got his head on, I will go into one. I absolutely go ballistic. I scare the waiters. If it's looking at me, anything that's looking at me, well, no, I can't take it.
No. I'm same.
But I do understand, because my family, all my boys are big meat eaters. And I've never, ever stopped them or made them, try to make them like myself. It was my choice not to eat it.
Yeah. We're exactly the same.
Yeah, I used to enjoy it. But I can see this point. If these things are nature, then anything to do with nature, animals, whatever, they're going to have this affinity with.
Yeah, it's same with generally littering and stuff like that. You find yourself respecting, because you feel like you're being watched via them. And I mean, we are really intent on connecting and bridging a communication with as many as we can. So we get very self-conscious, we've dropped something, pick it up quick, and it's for good, really. We've noticed an improvement in ourselves through it as well.
Yeah, I've just remembered something, and I haven't thought about him for a long time. But I used to joke in this house, but the cupboard under the stairs, the door was a sod to open, absolute bugger to open, and. But occasionally you would go out there and it'd be open about an inch. And I used to tease everyone. I had this little elemental under there that used to sit on top of the Hoover and watch people out the door. And, after a while, even I started believing what I was saying. Mark, I didn't make it up. I don't even know where it come from. I just turned and said, that's where the elemental lives. He lives in the cupboard, And... now I'm beginning to wonder, and talking about this tonight, I'm wondering whether do I have my element? Yes, I have my elemental under the stairs. God bloody hell, I have my elemental under the stairs. I'm not kidding you, we had a terrific thunderstorm here once when my elderly mother was staying. And it blew out all the lights. And, of course, where were the candles? They were in the cupboard under the stairs. So in the middle of the dark, I'm trying to make my way through the house with my mother, because she wouldn't stay in the sitting room in the dark on her own because of the ghosts. She said, "You're not leaving me here with these ghosts," she said. So she's holding my hips from behind, and she's shuffling down the hallway behind me until we get to the understairs cupboard. So I tried to open it, and like I said, it was always a bugger to open this cupboard. It was always stick. And I'm pulling. And all I've got for light is a cigarette lighter. Okay? And it got to the point where I turned around and I took my hand off the handle, and I said, "Mum, it's no good. I can't open it." And all of a sudden, it flung open.
Really?
Yeah, and it flew back with such force, this door. With such force, and of course, obviously, I was able to get the candles, but I thought it was Herbert, one of my ghosts, that done it. Now I'm wondering, is it my elemental that lives under the stairs?
Yeah, you could have a little house elf, a brownie.
Yeah. If you were to see this house, I'm sure you'd believe that there is an elemental in here somewhere, because so many strange things happen. It is haunted. The house is haunted, but even. My husband said to me the other week, he said he was cooking in the kitchen, and he said, "I keep seeing some dark shadows going there on the outside." What? Oh, sorry about that. Someone's messaging. On the outside of the house, where the drive is, outside the kitchen window, he kept seeing dark shadows moving across outside, as if there was something dark going back and forth past the window.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I said, "Don't worry, it's an elemental." Because it's more likely out the trees.
Yeah.
Trees there. But, you laugh and you joke about these things. But thinking about it, I wouldn't be surprised if there isn't a few in this house.
Well, Andy, let me ask you this then. In your research and experience, how many different types of these elemental beings do you think we deal with? I mean, we've been throwing out names out there, everything from fairies to leprechauns to brownies. I mean, do you think they're all the same thing? We're just by different names, or do you think we're dealing with multiple types of entities?
I believe that there are multiple different types, most definitely, because they've all got their own certain behaviours, just like different races in humans, like that's how they are. That they're a collective, like we call them elemental, nature spirits, whatever. But there are many different subcategories. But like I said, the behaviours vary, and you can sort of pinpoint what you're dealing with due to behaviour.
When we think of the United Kingdom, especially in North, up in Ireland and maybe in Scotland, there are tales of the Banshee.
Oh, yeah.
Do you think the Banshee is an elemental type of spirit? Or do you think...
It is categorized, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Same with incubuses and succubuses. They are categorized in elemental sort of realm as well.
I recently, in the last year, I was able to do an investigation in an old gold mine. And while we were doing the investigation, I was picking up on impressions of a couple of the miners' ghosts of people who have passed away in the mine. But there was one point I got a very, very strong impression of something non-human with us, just there and watching us. It was benign, no ill will, but you could just feel a strong energy that was just there. And, it didn't really interact with us, didn't really do much of anything, but I knew when it was there.
Yeah. And I've got to agree with that, because one of the first things Tommy told us to bridge really good communication is to bring gold. He said it works. And he didn't tell us what it was. We had to work it out for ourselves, and it took us 4 months to work that out, but gold has got a big part to play in it all.
As in bringing something gold and then, using that as like a trigger object to get them to respond to you?
Yeah, like you've got to bring gold, you've got to do a small ritual, and then the communication will boom.
What kind of a ritual would you think?
This is a tough one, because it's sort of one of his secrets, and I don't know how much basically, you've got to use the gold with a wish.
Okay.
So there's a few more elements involved, but you've just got to do like a wishing ritual with gold as an offering.
Okay. Well, a wish for yourself, or a wish for...
So a personal wish. So I'll like sort of say, I'll wish for whatever spirit we're communicating in this premises to show up on us camera, or show up on us photographs, and then one of the other team members is to wish for to hear them speak or to catch an EVP.
So it's not a wish to get the lottery numbers or something?
No, it's a personal wish for interaction. Yeah.
Well, here's what I think we should do. Irene, send me all your gold jewelry. And I'll hang on to it here.
So much gold, it's falling out the safe now.
and I'll use it in some rituals, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
And you know what? If nothing happens, I just may have to hang on to it for a while.
Just for safekeeping.
Yes. Because in the name of science, it's in the name of science.
Oh dear me! I'll have to send the Brinks mat over.
So what are some of the other experiences that you both have had, either in doing cases or in anything else that you've experienced?
Well,
we love good stories.
Yeah, quite an interesting one. I don't know if you've personally heard of East Drive.
Yes, I've heard of it.
Yeah, the very famous house in Pontefract. Well, we got opportunity to do that last week.
Oh, you done it last week?
Yeah, we got opportunity to go and have a look round, and
did you enjoy? Did Chloe enjoy that? I'm bringing Chloe into this because she's kind of being left out a little bit.
She is.
Chloe? Did you enjoy East Drive?
I think we've lost her again. I can hear her talking upstairs, but we can't hear her.
Okay, Chloe, we'll come back to you in a minute when you sort your mic out.
Yeah. Yes. Unfortunately, Chloe could only stay a couple of hours because she had work next day. But an events team that invited us there were like, we want to know what you guys can fetch out. So, oh yeah, she's back. She's there.
I'm back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was just asking Chloe, did you enjoy East Drive or whatever it is?
I loved it. Yeah, I could only stay for a short while. But the small time that I was there, it were amazing. Like, we were already getting activity just for that short while that we were there.
Yeah.
And, like, you know, when you can walk into a room, you can kind of sense there's something there.
Yeah.
It was like that, like walking in. I was like, whoa.
Yeah, I think I'll have to do a radio show from there one day.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That would be amazing.
I'll arrange it.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, we got something talking of at Spirit Box. I got a sense, because there's a room at back at house where there's a load of photographs of what people have captured at house. And I kept looking at it and I'm thinking, what are you in there watching me? Because I was getting all that like sort of cold around my hands and I was like, I'm going to come back to you in a little bit. But when I went in with Spirit Box, oh my God, it shouted out. He goes, I'm an elf. He goes, I'm alone and I'm a Dobby, because the Yorkshire ones call themselves Dobbies. You know, just like the Harry Potter. So that's what it was based on. And some other people that were there, they come immediately running in because Rem Pod Bear were going off. So we gave it a couple of offerings. It wanted some sweets. So we left a lollipop up floor for it and it were happy. Yeah, it were amazing. But nobody's ever done an elemental investigation there.
Just to make it clear for people, the bear that you use, it's a toy bear that's interactive.
Yes, it's basically a bog standard REM pod, just fitted into a bear.
It is.
Yeah, just to make it more spirit friendly.
You can purchase that from a number of different ghost hunting stores. They carry that. It's like a child's trigger object to get a child ghost to want to play with the teddy bear, but it has a REM pod in it to light up if anything sets it off.
Mine's going to be amazing, though.
Yeah, Chloe's having a Minnie Mouse REM pod bear.
Why not?
Why not?
Oh, I love Disney.
What they should do is make a goofy one, and instead of buzzing, it goes, oh,
that's amazing.
I told you Mark likes Disney. He's been there.
I have a hoodie that has Mickey Mouse here on the top. I absolutely love it. I wear it on my lives.
You're known for wearing that, though, aren't you?
I know. I know.
Okay, so where were we? East Drive. Yeah, come on.
Yeah, also, Mark Vernon told me a little secret about East Drive. He says, when you go into the doll room, he says, if you get a chance, just say a specific thing. And he told me what to say. And we had the REM pod bear out on the landing. And as soon as I said this, I thought, right, there's nobody about, I'm going to say it. I said it, REM pod sparked off immediately, so I run out onto landing, and I says, just let me ask you now, can I put the Connect on so you can show up and show me exactly where you are? The flashed once for you, so I put Connect on. Immediately, this great big figure on landing in front of Bear, and then another smaller one.
Hold a minute, a figure materialised?
Yeah.
Two figures materialised on the landing in front of the bear?
Yeah, on the Connect sensor.
On that, yeah.
And they were actually lent into there, setting it off. I was absolutely blown away. I was like, wow. So I proceeded to ask a few questions. And
you've got that, have you?
Yeah. As video will be coming out next week for that one.
I'd like to see that.
Yeah.
So you started asking a few questions.
Yeah, because the Black Monk, the events team that took us know him as Fagin. That's the name that they get all the time. And I was like, right. I said, so is one of you...
Fagin?
Yeah.
He was in that film, Oliver, wasn't he?
Oh, yeah. But I asked if one of them was a fairy, and it said yeah. But apparently a lot of people do find purple flowers that just appear in house, just in front of them, and that's one of the typical fairy behaviour. You know, they give you gifts. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
How does I have a question? How do fairies know they're fairies? When we call them that, it's like.
Well, that's how do gnomes know they're a gnome?
Yeah, because that's our term. You know, how do they know what we call them?
We have got to call them the good folk.
Mm.
Once we start talking to them, they'll get offended by calling them a fairy. So you've got to start referring to them as the good folk because the more friendly that you get. So
this would go for gnomes or pixies or any of that type of creature, being. Not creature, being. Sorry, Tommy. I think I'll be getting in trouble with Tommy tonight.
I'll send him over later to say hello to you.
Oh yeah, do that. He can go and chat to my little friend.
Oh yeah, you can move to your stairs. Yeah.
I'll start charging them rent, I think. Anyway, where was I going to say? Yeah, so I've forgotten where you carry on, Mark. I've forgotten now where I went.
Well, that's par for the course.
It's the age.
Yes, it's a fair call. Anyway, well, you know, all of these paranormal events, always very interesting. And again, when we're talking about other beings, and yet we're talking about a paranormal aspect of these beings, are they paranormal even, or is it just an aspect of reality that we just don't understand? And I think
I've been asking myself the same question. I've been asking that question as well.
We have trained ourselves to only look at our physical world. And if it can't be, you know, cut up, dissected in a laboratory, put under a microscope, it doesn't exist. Yeah. According to mainstream science, our media, you know, constantly laughs or poo-poos anything out of the ordinary. If UFOs, somebody catches a great UFO on video and the news chooses to show it, they're always playing the X-Files theme in the background. Yeah. And it's what my good friend Bruce Pearson always calls the snicker factor. Is it's always done tongue-in-cheek and not taken seriously.
Yeah.
So, but yet people have these experiences. People see these creatures and beings. Now, here's a good question. You know, around the world, there is the people have seen Bigfoot, or the creature they call as Bigfoot, Sasquatch, the woods people, everywhere around the world, the abominable snowman Yeti, and yet they too seem to have this quality of appearing and disappearing at will, which is why nobody's ever caught one. People have watched them appear and disappear right in front of them. And watch tracks go in the snow, and suddenly the tracks just disappear, and the thing is like vanished. So I'm wondering if creatures like that could be lumped in with these elemental creatures.
There could be. It could very well be interdimensional as well.
Yeah.
And when we're talking interdimensional, you know, again, that's something that a lot of people don't understand. Mm-hmm. But is it a part of our natural world? Which I think it is. I think it's just one of those things that's just beyond our comprehension. Look, we're in the 21st century, and while we should have had our frickin' flying cars by now,
where's
our flying cars? You know, though now I'm seeing some demos of some really cool drone bikes, you know, quadcopter bikes.
Oh yeah.
That looks pretty cool. I want one of those. But you know what? We think we're so advanced and so superior with our technology, and yet we're ignoring the biological technology that our bodies have, that our brains have. Yeah. We're only using a small portion of our brains. Well, what is that other portion that we're not using? And I think that's what we're a species with amnesia. We're a species who've been dumbed down. and our abilities to be able to perceive these other realms, to be able to interact, and maybe even behave in the same way that many of these elemental creatures behave, has been either purposely taken away from us, or we just dumbed ourselves down to the point where we've de-evolved. But I think that we used to be able to do this a long time ago. This might explain the big, megalithic structures around the world that science can't figure out how we're built. You know, get Giorgio Tsoukalos out there saying it was aliens. And while I'm not discounting that, I still think that there was a lot that was done by human or similar types of cultures here on this planet thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of years ago, when they think we were living in caves, which we weren't. So I think we have a lot more interaction in the past with these types of beings. And as you indicated earlier, again, they're kind of lonely because we've lost that connection. And yet I also feel like it's in their best interest to keep the hell away from us most of the time, because we're also a society currently falling apart.
Yeah, it's to be honest, it's just a whole sad story, isn't it? You know, when you look at it like that, it's just, you know, why? You got to ask that question. Why did we? You know, obviously technology, as you say, has got a lot to do with it. But you know, I never knew about any of these things, and it were only doing a small Wikipedia, you know, search on ourselves that I found out that mansions used to actually put little tables out, you know, in corners of rooms and offer them corn and stuff for looking after houses. Yeah. And I'm like, I never knew about that. I didn't get taught that in school.
No, because it's looked at as quaint superstition that people go, oh, that's quaint, they used to do that. And then, you know, they blow it off thinking how stupid people were to believe in stuff like that.
Yeah.
And yet, I think our ancestors were a lot smarter than we give them credit for, and they knew and were interacting with these types of beings, which now everyone blows off as just being a fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
But then you also have to look at, like Chloe, you mentioned how much you love Disney. Well, let's give Disney credit in being one of those industries out there that makes its living promoting these types of things. Sure, it seems like it's kids' stories and fantasies, but they're promoting these alternative types of beings, elves, witches, fairies, everything, you know, that may be sharing our planet with us. And of course, we look at them as cute kidsy things, but it's better than ignoring them completely, I guess.
Yeah.
No, I agree with that.
So, interesting.
It is very interesting.
Well, what do you have coming up? What's next on your investigation agenda? Where do you want to see yourselves going as a group and researching, moving towards?
To be fair, I mentioned it earlier. I'm really desperate for the spring and the summer months to come back, because me and Becky are wanting to spend more time in nature. You know, we're wanting to come away from because at the minute we've like adapted bog standard ghost hunting into elemental stuff, but I think we need to sort of swing it round a little bit and just get out there into the woodlands and see what we can connect with. So that's my ultimate gain. I don't know, but what about you, Chloe?
I just want to get out more. I mean, I think we covered the other day, I've been on 9 investigations now. And I know it doesn't end, it seems like I've been on so many more. I really just can't wait to get out and do more. Like, that's just what I'm aiming for. Yeah. I just want to get out and get more experience with elementals and spirits and everything.
You see, when we started, because we were really shy on talking to people that watch us videos on what we're actually doing, so we weren't really like expressing that we were like talking to nature spirits and stuff. We were cutting it out of us videos, but it got to a point, didn't it, for us, where when they're shouting it of at Spirit Box, I'm an elf, I'm a brownie, I'm a dobby, I'm a fairy, because we've had that. and it's like, oh my word. So we've had to freely sort of express what we're doing now, and people took it really well. The people that watch us on YouTube have took it really well. So I think we're going to go at it full force and just try and sort of get more of an awareness about them. I think that's our main motto, isn't it?
Yeah,
I think it's refreshing to have a paranormal group that does investigate more the elemental side than, the usual paranormal group.
Yeah,
they do.
It's nice to have something different.
Yeah, and like you say, getting out in the woods, getting out into the countryside, and one thing or another, and into nature. It's going to do you good as well.
Well, yeah, exercise.
I know that's near me. I done a film to promote Wales a few years back. One of the places I was taken to was a place called Forge, and it's here in southwest Wales, in Llanelli, the other side of near Llanelli. And what it is, it's out in the middle of the woods, and it's built into the hillside, and there's all these big old ovens and things where they used to make the cannonballs during the Napoleonic. That's the Italian side coming out now. For the the war with Napoleonic War, and you'll be surprised what I got in photographs there.
Yeah.
Some really weird looking little things that would. My friends, when they saw the photographs, that's an elemental. I must dig them out for you, Mark. You'll enjoy those.
Okay.
That's a brilliant place to go. A brilliant place. It's all overgrown, and you go down all these steps down the hillside, and it's built into the hillside. And what they've done is they've built like brick ovens they've made like mini caves and built brick ovens and things. And that's, of course, where they used to make all the cannonballs. And it is absolutely fantastic place to go.
Sounds like my kind of place.
It's right in the middle of the woods. So if ever you're down here and you want to go elemental hunting, let me know. All right?
Brilliant. Yeah. Not great.
Sorry, Tommy, not elemental hunting. No, we don't mean elemental hunting. We mean go and visit a few elementals, Welsh ones, because there are Welsh ones.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. I can't remember the name of them because they're all in Welsh, but I know there is a kind of little goblin thing down here. And there is something actually here in Carmarthen as well, some sort of fairy thing. But they got Welsh names, so, you try to get your tongue around a Welsh name.
I don't think I could.
I don't even want to try. I'm not good with speaking as it is. It'll just not happen.
Well, to be fair, you have, Irene has her own elemental type of entity around the hills around where she lives, now known as the Tremor.
Tremor, yeah.
Which we're able to pronounce.
Yes, we're able to pronounce that one because we practice. Tremor.
Yes, because if you tried to say it phonetically based on how it's spelled, you go. But that actually is the Tremor is the Welsh Bigfoot. And she has heard the calls and screams from the surrounding hills around her village, as well as possibly, we're not sure, but possibly encountering a couple of them in her garden.
Yeah,
really?
We're not sure what they are actually, but we're calling them the Welsh Bigfoot, but because of their build. But I've got no idea what they are. They're kind of like invisible creatures. All you see is they're shimmering. You see a shimmering outline.
A shimmer, yeah.
Yeah.
A shimmer is actually typical elemental,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I see them quite often. Well, I've seen them a couple of times out there, but I've seen a lot of weird stuff out there as well. So, but then again, this is Carmarthenshire.
But, you know what? What you should also do Irene, is you do have a large garden in the back.
I have a very large
You should go out there and see if you have any elves or fairies in your garden. Of course, if on the other side though too, if you did, Gertie would eat them.
Yeah,
because she eats anything that isn't like nailed down.
I'm not going all the way down. Do you know my garden's like a mud pyre out there at the moment with all the rain we've had? So there's no way I'm going all trace been down there. I'll wait for the summer.
Yeah, I would as well.
Yeah, but like I said, if you ever come this way, I'll take you to this Mark, what is it?
Napoleonic
Forge.
Sounds brilliant.
Where they made the cannonballs for Trafalgar and all that.
Well, we have where I live here in the Northeast, there are a lot of mounds. There are a lot of areas where strange things could be. I mean, there are old forges here going back 100 years to, the native peoples lived here, but, there's just a lot of other strange stuff around here, too. I'm not far from the Hudson Valley. And now, if you're in the Hudson Valley in New York, back in the 80s, they had the large number of UFO sightings in the Hudson Valley, and also not far from me is Pine Bush, New York. Now, Pine Bush is very famous for having a lot of UFO sightings. Author Whitley Strieber, who wrote Communion, he lived there. His cabin was in Pine Bush, New York, and that's where he had his first initial encounters with these beings. And sometimes you have to wonder, was he dealing with extraterrestrials? I'm not so sure anymore. At least not in every case. I mean, we have a friend of ours, John Edmonds, who lives on his ranch down in Arizona outside of Phoenix. And he's having a lot of trouble with these gray aliens that have been harassing him for 20 years. They seem to be a very hostile type of gray alien, but they also come from underground, too. And again, that makes me wonder, are they aliens or are they terrestrial type of entities that we just don't know? It makes you wonder.
It does make you wonder.
It actually does.
I don't think we'll ever know.
Well, we have about 10 more minutes left in the show, and good Lord knows we love good ghost stories. So do you have any other, we'll give you each a chance here, any other paranormal experiences that you've had either recently or maybe in the past that really stand out for you?
I'll let Chloe go first.
Yeah, I was going to say, ladies first. Let Chloe go first.
I think Candy knows exactly what I'm going to say here.
Go on.
Before I even say it. Well, we went to Church Fenton a couple of weeks ago.
It's an RAF base, I'll just point that out.
Yeah, I'm not very good with explaining stuff. But while we were there, because obviously we went with Andrew as well. And while we were there, honestly, as soon as we walked in, we've come into like a kitchen area. And we all just stood getting equipment out, and we all just went, shush. And we heard these footsteps. I'm like, oh no, we're going to get busted here. Someone's coming in. So he leaves it a couple of minutes and we go, no one's come in yet. And those steps carried on through the full of the night. Like the full time we were there. Like someone was watching us. We even heard them at one point walking over to the REM pod to set it off.
They were broken glass, weren't they? And it were being kicked. Yeah,
kicked on its way around and broken glass being stood all over to get over to the REM pod. It physically sounded like one of us guys were walking across the glass, but we were all stood still. Like you can hear it in the video that's on YouTube, that we are all stood still and this glass is moving from the other side of the room where there were no one there. And Andy's gone and he's had a look. He's looked everywhere and could not see anyone anywhere. It were amazing. It honestly felt like there was someone there. Maybe even more than one. But that was a really amazing experience for me.
And that was where?
It's an RAF base called RAF Church Fenton.
Church Fenton?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's all abandoned. There's like 12 or so buildings to it.
Mm.
You know, it's been abandoned for over 10 years, I think, hasn't it?
I believe so.
Yeah. Really active place.
I'd love to go back there.
We had a little inside joke because it was Chloe's sort of first in-your-face activity.
Gosh,
you know Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, when Yoda sat on Luke's back.
Oh, yes. Remarkable,
that was me. That was me on Becky's back that night.
On Chloe on Becky's back all night. She just looked like Yoda.
All night. Whenever Becky moved, I moved a step closer. I was like, "You are not leaving me here." Honestly, it was so in your face.
Our friend,
I was impersonal.
Yeah, our friend, he's got a rather large YouTube channel. It's called Proving Demons, and he did investigation with us, and he caught a shadow being on camera moving through one of the doorways, which was pretty cool. Yeah.
I mean, there we had doors closing on us and opening, didn't we?
Slamming in his faces, weren't they?
Yeah. Oh, that was right behind me. I jumped a mile. Becky had walked off. I couldn't jump back onto her back.
Sounds an interesting place.
Yeah.
So, what about you then? Give us one of your stories that you.
Can I give you a UFO story?
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah. Back when I was 13, I had a friend who lived over the street from me, and his mum used to call him in at 8 o'clock every night. This particular night, we went out waiting. She hadn't called him, so we went onto this little driveway that went to like a bungalow. And I've always been like a star watcher, so I was just looking up, and it was a nice clear night. And I saw it looked like a star that was starting to split. It like having little streaks of light coming away from it. So I was more intrigued than that. And he come over and he was like, "What are you watching?" And I says, "That's a star up there." Now, when you're trying to point a star out to somebody, they never get it, do they? And I couldn't see it, and and one of the streaks come out and went back in. And I was like, "Oh, that's interesting." Anyway, I looked at side of me, and it was a classic grab his head and turn it, but there was this thing hovering down at the back of our house, and we got these great big conifer trees.
Yeah.
And it was silent, and it was coming down right slow, but the trees were bending to the side as it were like approaching, and it was like flat at bottom, domed on top, red lights chasing all the way around bottom on it, with this right sharp red flame coming out at the back, but there was no noise. So we were like, "Oh my God." Anyway, we run right back.
And it was lowering itself down near the trees.
Yeah, very
and of course,
slow.
the trees were moving in the.
Yeah, they were bending away from object.
Yeah.
So we run right back at estate, up a little hill to try and get a better view on it. Gone, not there. So we come back down, walk right corner. It was there again, back in view, and I was like, "That can't happen." Now, bearing in mind, this was a council estate, really rough.
Council estate?
Yeah,
but
yeah.
To you, Mark, as a housing estate?
Got
yeah. Quite a rough area, a lot of bad people lived in it at the time, but there wasn't a soul about. It was just so still, quiet. I run outside of my house, jumped up on bins, over a 5-foot fence, stood underneath it. I froze for a minute, and then there was this big flash of white light, and it just streaked off into air.
You're brave.
Yeah, I know. Oh God! But I went into the room straight away. I said, "Mum, did you see a big flash of white light in the house?" And she was like, "No." And I was like, "All right." I just had to go back outside and talk to my friend about it. And we were talking about it and he was like, "What was it?" And I was like, "Well, I think I know what it was, but." Anyway, his mum started shouting him. So I looked at my watch and I was like, "That can't be right."
Mm.
And it was like 8:05, but all this had been going on for 15 minutes or so.
Yeah.
So we hadn't lost time. We'd gained time that didn't exist.
Oh.
Jeez.
Yeah. And We both had separate sort of interviews. We only disagreed on one thing, and that was the colour of the lights around the bottom of it. I saw all red. He said he saw it like it were multicoloured, like Christmas lights.
Yeah.
But we did get followed by a black car for a few days after that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Full blacked out car, no lights.
Yeah, we have them here, Mark.
Yeah. No reports. There were never no reports going out into media. Nobody ever saw it. It was like we were in a bubble. That's what I can only... Because when we went right back and we couldn't see it, it felt like we'd left its space that it had created. But I sort of went into the classic obsession with UFOs and aliens after that.
Yeah.
I collecting everything, drawing them all the time. Right now, my collection is alien greys. You know, I've got hundreds of the things.
Big alien stood next to me right now.
Yeah, there's a 3.5 foot alien statue probably stood next to Chloe.
With no arm.
Well, Chloe, as long as it doesn't move, you'll be all right.
That's it, yeah. But, you know, and it's stayed with me a long time, but I'm actually wanting some regression, you know, into that time period.
Yeah.
Try and... Because I froze underneath it, and you never know.
You never know. You may find out something.
Yeah. But I've always been a bit worried that if there were anything extra that I can't remember, would it sort of taint my love for the UFO and the aliens? Would I not want it anymore? Or so it's been a sort of decision.
Well, most people that we interview that have had experiences with UFOs or aliens, it's increased their interest in it, hasn't it, Mark?
Yeah.
Yes.
It hasn't tainted it. It's increased it to a point of sometimes being fanatical about it, you know?
Yeah. I think it's just like if it unlocks any scary memories if all did happen that I can't remember. You know, because obviously it's the media that put that into you know, with these abduction, like the Fire in the Sky film, you know, because that end scene was really awful, you know, what they did to Travis.
I know him, by the way.
Well, he's a friend of ours. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've met Travis, yes.
Oh, wow, fantastic.
I know a couple of guys in the truck, too.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
Wow.
You've got me fangirling now.
Oh, okay.
You'll be surprised, do we know?
Yes. Yeah, we know people in places.
Wow.
People in places, in things, and yeah, it's like remember that time, that guy at the thing of the place, that's us.
Brilliant.
Yes. Well,
so that's my crazy UFO story for you.
Well, we have run out of time. We are at the end of the show here. Our guests tonight have been Andy Barton and Chloe Rogers. Did I get that right?
That's
you
perfectly
did,
correct.
yeah.
I am proud of myself. Yes, with Phantoms Paranormal. And Andy, tell people where they can find you on social media and on YouTube.
Yeah, if you just type in Phantoms Paranormal on YouTube, we'll probably be the only one there. Also, if you check us on Facebook, we've got a like page, Phantoms Paranormal again. So, pretty direct. There we are.
Okay, and before you wind it up, Mark, I want to say next week's guest is Peter McHugh. And Peter wrote a book on the paranormal encounters on British highways, and I've had a few of them, so I'm looking forward to that show.
Excellent. Well,
so tune in for that one. It's going to be good.
Well, Andy and Chloe, thank you very much for coming on the show and sharing your experiences, and it's been a lot of fun, and we definitely wish you luck in your future endeavors. And Tommy, thank you for participating in the show.
Yeah, thanks, Tommy.
Yeah,
we appreciate it.
Yeah, and thank you for having us, both of you.
Yeah, and we want to thank our listeners too. Thank you for tuning in, and we really appreciate it. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys. So definitely keep tuning in, and we'll keep trying to bring you interesting shows.
And thank you for the lovely feedback we've been getting on Facebook as well.
Yes. It's been very nice. Our fans have been reaching out and giving us some great feedback. So,
and that we do enjoy.
Well, everyone, thank you.
If you give us any bad, hang on, Mark. If you give us any bad feedback, we will mention you by name.
Freedom of speech. Freedom of speech. Anyway, all right, we're out of time. Thank you, everybody. Have a great week. We'll see you next time.
Okay. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.